SpectreVision Radio.
Okay, how about the levitating candle?
That was my sister. She was sitting there messing around, and next thing she knows, she looks up. It's probably closer to 1 o'clock in the morning at that point, and there's just this candle that is levitating straight across the room.
And was it lighted or it was not lighted?
Oh, it was lit, yeah.
How did the path end? Did she go up and grab it? Did it just fall to the floor?
Nope, it just slammed to the ground. It hit the wall, which was a door, actually, that we had locked shut from both sides, and it just hit the door and fell straight to the ground.
It hit the door. So if the door was open, it would have continued its path on wherever. Yeah. That's interesting.
With infinite complacence, people went to and fro of the earth about their little affairs, serene in the assurance of their dominion over this small, spinning fragment of solar driftwood, which by chance or design, man has inherited out of the dark mystery of time and space.
On this episode of Into the Fray, I welcome Paul and Justin on with me. Now, Paul was on for episode 524. I titled that the Farmhouse Poltergeist. Now, of course, this will officially be the Farmhouse Poltergeist Part 2. And that is because on this edition, we actually have Justin, who lived in the farmhouse. These guys have been friends since childhood. And part of part 1 was, of course, Paul sharing what kinds of experiences he had in his own home. And then we transferred into talking about Justin's home. And I have seen pictures of this property, and it's a very beautiful, beautiful place. It doesn't look like on the onset a place that might be haunted, but it was quite very haunted, I would say. So welcome on, you guys. Thanks for being here.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
So
I actually have some updates, Shannon, from the last time anyway. So I actually tried to, real quick, if that's okay. So the update would be about my room, why the missing doorknob. I actually asked my mother about it, which ironically, I was correct about how she would respond to me trying to ask her. Which is basically, why are you asking me this? Yes, I remember, but why are you asking me this? I don't know, because I'm trying to make sure I have the information right. So I was totally right about her response. But so my mother remembers that night, but she recalled it as a power outage. And one other thing I want to actually mention that I didn't share last time that I really dug more deeper because my mother kind of brought it out too, which was, so going back to remembering your room layout and stuff is that so during like this holiday time, again, perfect example. I was that kid that could not sleep when Santa was coming to town. So by 2:30 Christmas Day morning, I would be opening up my door, barging into like my parents' room and my sister's room. It's Christmas, let's go. So just to kind of say again, like, I've never had that ever again, and that should explain why. Because if I can do that around 2:30 in the morning, come on.
So so your mom just said, I mean, what exactly did she say about that door incident?
That it was a power outage.
That's it.
Why would I even ask him?
Didn't elaborate any more than that. Simple power outage. So, okay. Well, hey, could be, I guess, but it was still a very interesting experience. And you also shared a couple different Ouija board experiences on that one as well. And I do want to...
I have an update from that, too.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, well, so I did talk to my buddy Chris Burney to remember some of this stuff, maybe even from after, that has happened. So I pretty much have it all down where I was in the hallway and this and that. So because of the guests that were in the room, right? The Ouija board apparently did give us a name, and the name was Trevor Rogers, who was a little kid about 8 years old. And this is where it gets really weird from what I remember now from him saying it for the podcast episode that I had him record with me. Anyway, so at one point, the Ouija board said he was cold, like the kid was cold. And it's like there's a window open. So the other people around looked to see if there was a window open. Funny enough, there was a window open in the bathroom. So we shut the window. Now, this is where it gets even more creepier. He still says he's cold. And we're like, well, where are you? And he's like, the bathroom. So we're like, okay. And then that's when he started to do the whole, like, he is coming, like he didn't want to say goodbye or anything like that. And that's when it went fast with the HELPME. And that's when, the skeptic and everybody, raised their hand off, and we were all like, what are you doing? So after all that is said and done, this is where my buddy Chris and Caleb went to our local library, found that there was, in fact, a missing person from anywhere between 1948 to 1950, and about an 8-year-old kid that was murdered by his own father and buried in a bathroom.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So we are wondering if this is Trevor Rogers. But what was weird about this is that the only newspaper that kind of touched on this was in Burlington, not even in Rutland. So he supposedly vanished in Burlington, Vermont. But yet he was talking about being in the basement. Or in the bathroom. Yeah.
How far are Burlington and what was the other? Burlington.
Rutland?
Rutland.
Rutland. They're about 2 hours away.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair distance. Yep. Oh, that's an interesting possible tie-in.
Yep.
I mean, people do some awful dark things. So if that's who you were talking to, and I do recall that the skeptic of the little party that for that session was a little taken aback, literally, and I mean, he jumped back, he jumped off, and he was like, "What in the heck is going on here?"
Yeah, and his name was Caleb, so I got his name now too. So,
and I forgot to mention that Paul is of Haunted Vermont, and he has a podcast, Haunted Vermont, and hauntedvermont.org is the website, and you collect all kinds of things from the state, Paul. And your state alone has a lot of missing people, UFOs, Bigfoot, hauntings. I mean, the gamut, like the usual good stuff that we love. That's why you're able to focus just on that state.
Exactly. Well, I mean, not just that, but okay, so I can give something, two things really, because I think it's like around the perfect time, and not to take away Justin's time here, but I'll just say it real quick. Yeah, I know. But so we have a cool legend around this time. Since it's winter, it's frozen outside, we got the snow. I don't even know what Justin knows about this one, so if not, then here you go, Justin. So we have a very weird legend. As far as I can tell, the first ever published legend or book that tells about this legend is from like 1937 in a book called Winter in Vermont by Charles Edward Crane. And it talked about taking people, like the elder people, and basically making them go into hibernation until spring, where we saw them back out to life. So I'm looking into that because I found some interesting things in a newspaper article. So my theory about it might actually be real about using plants and cold grounds and stuff like that. So I'm working on an article for that. And lastly, what I can share is, speaking of missing people, Shannon. So we all know the local author, Shirley Jackson, which, by the way, as of this recording, I'll just say real quick, is that on December 14th will be Shirley Jackson's birthday. And so rest in peace for her. And she passed away in 1965 from heart failure, if I remember right. So, but she's a very well-known author for like The Haunting of Hill House, The Watery. We Always Lived in the Castle, just to kind of name some stuff. But anyway, she's mainly also kind of known for her second novel that she ever wrote, which was which was inspired loosely by her time at college and the missing case of Paula Weldon. So I just want to say real quick for this is I'm working on another article for Haunted Vermont because I actually bought the short story called The Missing Girl, which a lot of people think is based on Paula Weldon. After reading it, I'm going to take a hard no that is not based on her. It's actually based on another missing girl case that nobody really knows about. And that's more interesting too, because her name in the book is Martha Alexander. And in the real life missing person case, her name is Martha Jeanette Jones, who was 16 years old, who went missing back in November of 1950, trying to hitchhike from a place called Bondville. It's somewhere in Vermont by
Lower Vermont.
Yes.
It's down next to Manchester Center. Yeah.
Yep. And that's where she was trying to hitchhike to, with Manchester Center, which if you travel by car, it's 20 minutes. If you travel by foot, it's like 4 hours and something minutes to walk. So she supposedly went missing, but she ended up getting found after like a couple of days later or something, like from this newspaper article that this person went missing from hitchhiking, that they found this 16-year-old in Virginia going under a different name.
Oh, she was found.
Yes.
Was there any, is there a reason that did she give a reason why she wanted to disappear herself?
I cannot find that yet, of why she did that.
Some kind of abuse, maybe?
All I can find is that she was found in Virginia and she was going by a different name.
Yeah. And see, there's a lot of strange, and some of them really are really strange. And to have a culmination of something like that doesn't happen actually very often, right? We don't get the answers to stuff like that very often. But the ones that seem super strange, sometimes they aren't strange at all. It's very cut and dry. Now, it could be for nefarious reasons, or it could be like this young lady decided, I'm out of here. I have to change my name, change my life, probably cut hair, maybe dyed hair, who knows what, to get out of whatever situation she was in.
Well, that's why after reading this short story, like I was starting to pick up keywords, and I'm just like, oh my God, like this is totally not about Paula Weldon. This is about that Martha Jeanette Jones. It has to be, because it's hard to really go into it all the details of the short story, but if you kind of know Martha Jeanette Jones' story, which is hardly mentioned, I haven't even mentioned it really that much because I didn't really know too much more about it, except for that she went missing by hitchhiking. But now, knowing that she was found, and then now reading the short story that Shirley Jackson wrote supposedly in 1957, it kind of makes sense of what she was doing if this was in fact getting taken from that missing girl. So again, I'm making like a little review article now about this missing girl short story, and I'm trying to take the facts that I have about the real missing girl and everything else to try to make sense, I guess.
Well, and back then it was a lot more prevalent to do things like hitchhike. It was
oh yeah.
And serial killers were a little bit more active back in those days as well, right? A lot of serial killers, that was their MO. There's all kinds of I this and I that, I-70, killers and interstate killers, right? So that was their hunting grounds. So for her to go missing,
Well, Vermont's actually prevalent for a few serial killers, actually.
Yes. And hey, they're already on the move, and they get right in a car, they do what they do, and off they go. They're across the state line sometimes within minutes or hours. So for her to go missing like that while being a known hitchhiker, easy to go, okay, well, there's a lot of options here, and some of them probably are not great. But I'm sure they thought, well, maybe she disappeared herself. Maybe she chose to disappear. But it's tough. It sounds like she was good at what she did to make that happen.
Well, I'll just say this real quick, and then we continue on. But so what I found interesting about this Martha case is so if she disappeared in November of 1950, they didn't really give an exact day per se, but they did say that nobody really noticed she was missing and didn't report her until a month later.
Oh, yeah. So maybe she'd been away from whatever home was for a while.
Well, she had plenty of time
out of a bad situation.
Yeah, or to somebody who just did not care about her. That is terrible. Maybe she was isolated from her family, so maybe her friends, if she had any, hadn't seen her for a while anyhow. So if she's gone for a month or two, they're like, well, I'm sure she's fine at home in her crappy situation, So.
Yep.
That's sad.
Well, yeah, we're very rural too, so it wouldn't be much back then to not see somebody for months at a time.
Right. Right, yeah. Especially back then. And it's not like you're texting each other and, doing the old cell phone Skype calls or anything. So if you didn't see them, you really didn't see them.
That's right.
Skype. I said Skype. Skype's not even a thing anymore. That's very strange.
Rest in peace, Skype.
Yeah, that was weird. That was the
I'm not
original.
Gonna miss it.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. Of course, nowadays,
it wasn't great.
Other things have their own little quirks. Well, thanks for sharing all that, Paul. I appreciate that. I love missing people stuff and true crime and, of course, strange disappearances, which sometimes do fit possibly in the category of paranormal. Sometimes.
Yeah, I appreciate the time for allowing me to share it. Just like, oh man. All right, I promise this will be the last thing. But so another thing that I found that I actually have a physical copy of, I don't actually have it in front of me at the moment, but I did find out that they're back in the 1950s, during these weird times of the missing people of Glastonbury, a couple of magazines did some articles on them. There was one magazine that wasn't mentioned. I guess I can say it for the whack of, everybody knows that it's coming out, but it's Small Town Monsters upcoming documentary from the Beyond, High Strangeness in the Bennington Triangle. Anyway, the Bennington Museum guy had a magazine that mentioned the cases of the missing people. I came across this other one that supposedly back from July of 1957, this magazine also featured an article of these missing people. So I actually found a copy of this one and have it. And what's interesting is this article claimed there should have been 7 missing people, not 5. But real quick is the 6th person would have been Martha, like I just mentioned, who was actually found alive. And then there's a new name that I'd never heard anybody mention that I now have to dig up to figure out who this lady was.
Oh, interesting. In the Bennington Triangle?
Yeah.
Oh, hey now.
So from what I sort of read about this name, her name was like Frances Chrisman, and she supposedly had an argument with her husband, left the house, and was never seen again. That's about the short version I can give right now.
She left on foot or probably in a car, right? I mean, going anywhere on foot in Vermont certain times of the year is probably a death sentence.
From what I heard, she was trying to walk to her neighbor, so she vanished.
Yeah, and as you say, Justin, it's very rural. So you say neighbor. I mean, my neighbor, I can spit on the house, essentially, not technically, but it's pretty close. But there, your neighbor might be miles from you. Maybe that was the case, right? So walking to the neighbors,
you get a good chunk.
Yeah, might take on a whole new meaning, especially if it's the winter time. Like, girl, you know better than
like
that.
Right now, brutal.
Is it really?
Yeah.
And Justin's
I got I'll give you guys a peek.
Yeah,
That way you
Justin's
can see
just
what I'm
like
working with on the
casually
mountain.
sitting outside. So
yeah, I'm gonna focus. Yeah.
that's beautiful. And not except for the evergreen trees, there's not a stitch of green on those right there in the very forefront.
Oh, heck
so
no.
yeah.
Like my closest neighbor is right there.
Oh yeah, there's quite a bit of snow.
They're a ways away.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the one right across the road from me is actually a hunting camp. So there's usually nobody there for most of the year.
You guys don't even want to know what the temp is here right now. It's ridiculous. I'm actually kind of sick of it. And
it's probably gorgeous.
It's dumb. It's dumb to complain about certain things when y'all are digging your cars out. But we broke a record 2 days ago, and it was 73 degrees. And that record, though, hadn't been broken since the 30s. Like, we broke that record. So.
And that's what we're at right now is 30 degrees.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man, I don't even think I'm breaching 20 right now. Oh, I'm sorry. We are at 20 degrees right now.
Justin's like, it's balmy out here. It is warm.
Well, the other morning
I got my tank top heater.
The other morning for me, it was -8. So I could only imagine what it was for you, Justin.
18 below.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, right. I don't really miss that. I miss a lot about Ohio, but I do not miss the, hey, it's -12, but with the wind chill, it's like -20. You're like, don't
38 below, no big deal.
Yeah.
Cars wants to kill itself. It's all good.
Hey, at least you guys don't live in Yakutsk, up in Siberia. That I'm obsessed with watching videos about Yakutsk.
Yep.
I love watching people just how their everyday is fascinating. Okay, let's get off the weather talk. Sorry, guys. I love to go on tangents. That's a very bad habit of mine. So, okay. Now, I do want to say that in part 1, in 524, we did discuss, now this is in relation to Justin's former residence, the farmhouse, footsteps, objects, levitating, and then rooms being tidied up. We were kind of joking about that before we started. So that is just a few of the things that we did discuss. Now that we have Justin here, though, it will be interesting, and this doesn't happen a lot for shows, to have kind of an official follow-up. It has happened, so it's exciting for me to have you on, Justin. I appreciate that. Not that Paul didn't do a great job sharing everything that went on, and he was there for some of this stuff, so it's good to have both sides. But anyhow, when for you, Justin, when you guys moved in, did you start to go, something is strange here? Or was it not until the first official big slap of paranormal activity that you were like, might be something else going on?
Oh, we had cats when we moved in. So we got a couple cats from the farm there. And they would randomly just start darting off and just stare off at something and then bolt away. And it's like, okay. I always just blamed it on hyped up on catnip, but clearly they're more in tune with nature and everything around them than we are. So there was probably a little bit of a hint right there. But the first real slap to the face was probably how every time I'd ever have a friend over or anybody would come over, for some reason, no matter where we'd leave stuff, even our shoes or ourselves when we go to bed, everything would either wake up, like we wake up different spots, so resituated, and then our shoes would all be lined up next to the door, and my room was clean every time. And it was pretty weird because, I wasn't the messiest kid, but I definitely should have had a couple cans of soda or something to pick up. And then, lo and behold, don't you know, Mom opens the closet door one day and everything, and I mean everything that I ever had left out had been thrown in that closet. It was probably half full and just poured out at the door when she opened it. She's like, this is where all my dishes went. I'm like, yeah, but I didn't put them there. I was like, I didn't even honestly know they were in there. I don't use my closet.
And then Paul shared the experience where there was 3 of you guys, including you, and you're all on the big bed, but now Paul and I forget the other young lad's name. I don't know if you shared his name.
Ethan.
Ethan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Paul and Ethan were moved, but you moved the most because you ended up under the dang bed.
Yeah, on the opposite side that I even went to sleep on, which was kind of interesting since it was a futon. So double bunk bed futon. You never really get out and say, hey, it's comfortable under like 8 inches of gap.
No. No, it's not. And you, just like Paul, you don't remember moving, anyone kicking you, trying to get into their different position. Yeah. And Paul didn't either.
At all.
No, because
and I've woken up to earthquakes before, and then it's just been like, oh, somebody must have loaded the washing machine wrong, and then go right back to sleep.
Right.
See, I've slept through earthquakes here, so we had an earthquake. Oh, whatever.
Well, and you guys slept through
very
whatever
subtle here.
happened.
They don't make it here very often.
No, not really.
Okay, how about the levitating candle?
That was my sister. Yeah, she actually had the room that was right above our kitchen. So you walk in through our front door, take a right, and through the pantry, there was a stairwell door that went up to her room. And her room had a wall knocked out, one room made into a big room. And she was sitting at her computer desk one day. Well, at that time, it was school desk, and she had Xbox, actually. But she was sitting there messing around, and next thing she knows, she looks up. It's probably closer to 1 o'clock in the morning at that point, and there's just this candle that is levitating straight across the room. And she was always known for lighting candles, but never known to be having any float across the room, that's for sure. And she's like, that's the only time I ever experienced it, and the only time I actually cared to.
And was it lighted, or it was not lighted?
Oh, it was lit, yeah.
Wow.
She had it lit for the light.
I mean, well, so how?
Because my parents would have killed us being up at that time.
How did the path end? Did she go up and grab it? Did it just fall to the floor?
Nope, it just slammed to the ground. It hit the wall, which was a door, actually, that we had locked shut from both sides, and it just hit the door and fell straight to the ground.
It hit the door. So if the door was open, it would have continued its path on wherever. Yeah. That's interesting.
I think there's after it was that door led to another room, which was hooked to another room, which was hooked to a hall where the other 3 rooms upstairs were. And I think I actually spent my life in every single one of those rooms.
Yeah, we're definitely going to get to that. So before, because I know eventually this was turned into a multiple family building, right? There were three families.
Three apartments in there now.
Yeah. But when you guys were in there, there was no remodeling. You hadn't added walls or taken away walls, or had you?
Just that one wall in my sister's room.
Okay.
But everything else was original from 1900s, whenever the house was built.
That's interesting, though, because if you think about it, the candle could have turned slightly one way or the other and hit a wall, right? And just bumped into a wall and been done. But it actually was following a proper path to go out a door, like as if a person was holding it and walking out a door like they would have done when they were alive. Interesting.
Yep. Actually, it followed the exact line of where the wall would have been that led to that door.
Wow. Whoa, that's even cooler. Okay. Yeah, I like that one. So beyond that, your sister, there's nothing. She has nothing to share with you guys. Or do you think she might be holding on to some stuff?
That was the best thing that she actually cared to share. She said nothing really out of the ordinary happened for her other than that. Why this TV turning off or radio turning on and off. Just small electrical stuff. But that candle was just a way out there experience for her.
How often did she have friends over like you did? Did that happen often?
Yeah, she probably had them not as much as I did because she was, older. So she liked to get out of the house away from her little brother and go hang out with her friends separately. So she'd leave more than she had people come over. But she probably had at least every other weekend or, at least twice a month have somebody come up.
Because when you had people over is when the most activity would happen for you guys. So it begs a question, when she had people over, I wonder if there was things that had gone on and maybe she just didn't want to talk about it, you know?
It's a good possibility. No, especially since her being a couple of years older than me. It was mainly avoid the little brother.
But that said, to have an entity, a spirit, whoever, whatever it was, seemed to be quite focused on you. So let's talk about the mirror and what was written on the mirror.
The mirror part. I don't remember exactly what was written on it.
I heart Justin, but the heart part was actually a heart.
A heart, yeah.
Yeah, which kind of makes me wonder if it was like my sister or her friends messing with me, just because all the rooms were hooked and connected, especially upstairs. I think there was only one room that was isolated.
I remember asking Paul about that, and I think, Paul, was this the incident that you said for sure that the sister wasn't even there? I don't.
Yes.
Yeah. See.
Yeah.
Was she at Katie's? I think
she was somewhere,
probably
man.
At Katie's.
Yeah, she was
over
either
by
at
the
Katie's.
Diamond Run Mall.
Yeah, she was probably at Katie's or her boyfriend. But no, I remember this one specifically that she was not there because that's when you and I were going back and forth about, well, maybe it was your, maybe because you said you never had crayons there, which is trying to
Mom always bought me colored pencils or markers.
Yeah,
crayons are for toddlers and stuff.
Yeah, because your parents were babysitting, and then when they were done babysitting, all that stuff would be taken away. But again, I also remember you walking your door at night. So it's like, again, how could somebody get in through the locked door?
Yeah, that's something I still don't really wrap my head around today, just because it happened to me. But at the same time, thank God it's only happened that one time. And whatever loved me there hopefully stayed there. But if not, well, it doesn't mess with me too much now. So.
And then every time you guys would have sleepovers, and we all recall being kids, you take your shoes off, you throw them wherever they land is where they stay, blah, blah, blah. It's not the tidiest thing. You're playing toys. You're dragging stuff out of the closets. So every time you guys would hang out, there would be some sort of a tidying up situation, right?
Oh, every day, every time. I wake up and everything was actually put away. And it was the weirdest thing because like any trash, dishes, stuff like that, things that you'd actually have to clean ended up in the closet. Anything with like notebooks, video games, stuff like that would all get set back into the entertainment system where it was supposed to go.
I wonder
my mom used to think I was the neatest kid in the world. She's like, my kid's awesome. He always cleans up after himself. I'm like, I do pick up after myself, but I don't do that. That's a neat freakish.
Yeah, I wonder if you took a big old garbage can and set it even next to the closet, if the actual garbage.
If it would have ended up in the can.
Yeah, if it would have ended up in the garbage can, that'd be great. Of course, your mom.
Because I got in hell for that.
Yeah, it should have been like, you take the whole garbage can up. You can't just bring the dishes down or the trash down. You would have caught a little flack for that still. I couldn't find
all these dishes, and they were up here the whole time. I'm like, yeah, I don't know how long you've been missing them, so I wouldn't know.
Wow. Yeah, that is a little bit strange. Okay, so you did end up changing your room because of activity like this, right? And you changed room 3 total times. Now, in the second room, there was something interesting going on with the radio that you had in that second room.
Mm-hmm. It would always kick on, and it would actually most of the time be at full bore volume, and it would be at the worst times. So, and I actually remember one particular time where I wasn't even in my room, and I think we were all downstairs in what we called the game room, which was another side entrance to the house. And we were just sitting there playing, and my mom bought us pretty nice stereo systems that year. And yeah, that was rattling some stuff in the house, just randomly kicks on full blast. And it was like, whoa, I remember that one particularly because my dad actually came down from the barn and told me to turn the shit off. He's like, I can hear that all the way up top. I'm like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Paul mentioned that you guys would go downstairs, and then maybe not the moment you got downstairs, but at some point after you would go downstairs, that's when the volume would really, really kick up, is when you were downstairs.
It'd max.
Yeah.
And I would love to blame it on the stereo, but I think that in particular year it was brand new. We just got it. So I was like, typically radio interference and stuff with that stuff happens more nowadays than it does back then.
Yeah.
So it's kind of very interesting, especially since me and my sister had the same stereo, same entertainment systems, same everything. And yet mine would crank and hers only would when she actually did it herself.
All right. So were you going to say something, Paul?
Yeah, I was going to just say, I don't remember that one. I probably wanted present for that one because I would have remembered your dad coming in. Your family.
Yeah, you guys, everybody was petrified of my father. He didn't talk like at all. He's a very quiet man. So everybody's like, I'm scared crapless of your dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, like remind me if when your dad goes to bed so that way I don't wake him up, because if I wake him up, oh man.
It's a quiet ones you got to watch out
I don't
for.
even think any of my friends heard my dad even talk most of the time.
Yeah.
Once, I think.
Yeah, it's the quiet ones because you're like, I know there's something in there. I don't want to tick him off, you know.
It's like, I don't know what he's capable of. I wish you'd just yell at me so I'd know.
Yeah, go to 10 and then you're not afraid of anything else, right? All right, so
exactly.
So that was the second room. Now the third room, you move your third room and you're like, okay, maybe and oh, before I go there, were you in fact changing rooms because of the activity, or was that just you being a kid and wanting to have a new scene?
Oh, the first room I probably stayed in the longest. But once I found everything was getting pushed into that closet, I was kind of just like, I want to get away from that damn closet, because it kind of felt like there was just hoarding things into wherever it was keeping itself. I was like, I didn't want to be around it.
Well, you didn't want to find yourself
in the closet. I actually had a dog. Exactly. Yeah, I was like, I don't want to end up in there. And I had this black lab pit bull mix, and it was 6 months old. This dog stood probably a good 3 feet off the ground, and he was about 4 feet long. He was a good sized dog, and he was petrified of that damn room. And of course, it was my dog, so he stayed with me at night, and he did not like that room at all. And I even had mice like throw themselves into my floor fan and kill themselves.
Oh.
Just walk right into the blades of the fan, and you just hear do 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 do. And he's like, "What the hell is that?" So I just tip my fan forward, stop making noise. I'm like, "Yeah, there's another mouse," and turn it off.
So the dog didn't like the room, but the dog would suck it up and sleep with you at night?
Didn't have a choice. I had to lock him in my room.
Oh, wow.
So he was with me.
So once he's in the room, did he react any different around the closet at all?
He would always stay right at the entrance of the room, right at the door.
Oh.
The only time he'd come up to me is if he would sit on the bed with me. But other than that, he was at that door, just sitting there.
Yeah, you can't, there's no telling a dog to fake something. So a dog or a cat, whatever animal it is, right? So when they're acting like that, then there's probably something going on. So.
Oh, yeah. My cats rarely came upstairs. Most of the time, if they did, you knew it, because there were about 30. Well, one was 20 pounds. The other was like 30. So when she hauled down that stairs, you knew it. It was like, it was like Jesus.
She moving out. All right. So
Paul, and I don't even think she hit every step.
Poor thing. If they could talk, you're like, what did you see? She'd be like, let me tell you. So you changed rooms.
Actually, I don't even know if I'd want to know if it was enough to scare them like that. I
Probably
think
not.
I'd be left out.
Like, what if she looked like the lady from the library scene in Ghostbusters when they're like, get her, and it's the old lady like skeleton screaming. Yeah, you don't want that. Nobody wants that.
No, petrify you.
That's a little different. You can leave the library basement with the old card files that we used to use, but you can't leave your house as easily. So, and especially when you're a kid and the parents are like, "Oh, just go back to bed. You're seeing things. It's your imagination.
It's just a dream."
Yeah. All right. So you moved rooms, and this is the last time that you moved rooms, I believe, the third time. Can you talk about that incident when there was that strange shadow outside?
This one probably Paul remembers more than I do, because he was the in particular one that actually saw it. But I do remember that same incident. I had right after he mentioned seeing something, there was a orange juice container that was in my room, empty. And this is how I knew that it wasn't me cleaning in my room all the time, because that was still laying over next to my window. And it wasn't in the summer. It was probably late fall. And as we're sitting there and you mentioned seeing something, all of a sudden you just heard like a big, didn't know what the heck it was. Something flew across my room. And it actually was that orange juice container. It had ejected the cap and shot it straight across my room. And I lived on Thomas Dairy Farm, which actually just recently went out of business a year or two ago. They had screw-on tops. So it's nothing that was just going to ferment or build up heat or pressure and just pop off. So it's kind of like what you used to do with a water bottle if you were ever a kid. You squeeze it, and then you twist the cap off, and you launch that cap. That was almost exactly what would happen, except that bottle wasn't crushed, squeezed, overblown. It was perfect. There was nothing wrong with the bottle at all.
Yeah, that is very strange. Yeah, because Paul mentioned that shadow outside, and of course, there's a second story window, and there was a weird shadow, and he kind of just said you guys tried to recreate that, but you couldn't quite. It kind of looked like a humanoid, humanish form, but you couldn't quite recreate that. So.
Oh no, it was if you actually looked out my bedroom window where that was, it was a straight 2-story, like we were on the second story, so it was straight like 14-foot, 12-foot drop straight outside to the ground.
Yeah.
There was no rooflet there or nothing. And of course, right in front of it was just a big evergreen tree. So it was like, well, maybe somebody could have been in that, but you wouldn't have seen them at all because of all the green needles that never go everywhere.
Yeah, on part 1, I made the Salem's Lot joke, when the vampire kid is just floating outside the window. I'm like,
oh yeah, just chilling. It's like, what's happening there?
So as mentioned, right out of the gate early on, because of the floating candle, is that this farmhouse got turned into a 3-family duplex. And Paul did mention that it seems like there's been no activity since you guys moved out of the place. Is that correct?
I don't know. Haven't actually been back there since I moved out as a kid. I haven't been able to talk to anybody that actually lives there or anything like that either. But it probably, to my knowledge, if it was connected to the house or stayed at that house, it should have acted up more when the remodeling happened and walls got thrown up, parts of the house got separated off. But I've never heard anything.
Yeah.
But it's also a very rural state, so unless you go out of your way to actually learn about it, probably not gonna.
Right. And did you guys ever do any background research on, the house or previous families that lived there before?
I probably would now that I'm older. But back then, it was just a cool, creepy house that my friends like to come and hang out at.
Yeah. And as far as
they weren't even there for the good things. Like we used to have, like when we were getting closer to the end of when we were there was a bunch of stuff at the top of the stairs in full paint cans, stuff like that. And all of a sudden just heard this loud crash, and it was loud. It shook the house too. And when I went outside of my room, everything that was outside of my door at the top of the stairs was at the bottom of the stairs. And I mean, everything. And when I went down to look at it, there was that full paint can that I mentioned was completely crushed wall to wall, and the top was still on, and it was full of paint still. Nothing leaked out of it, nothing missing, but it was crushed wall to wall. I'm like, that's not even possible. It has to go somewhere.
That's weird. What did your parents say about that?
That was probably the coolest thing that I saw.
Do you recall what they said about that?
Oh, my parents wanted to know why I freaking knocked everything down.
Yeah.
I was like, it wasn't me. Well, it must have been the damn cats then. I'm like, you realize what you're talking about.
Yeah, the
them moving down the stairs, right? Like, there was a lot of stuff there. What did Darwin just run through and then blow those and everything sideways? He would have had to have been moving.
So that was the MO. And it's nothing against your parents. This is how parents are. And they don't want to scare their kids, right? Is that it was mostly just you forgot, you did this, for some reason you're not telling the truth. That was the
Well, it
MO,
was the
right?
kids.
Yeah.
Like my mom did say though, she would always say that we were very good kids, that she didn't really have any problems with us. We never acted up or anything like that. Like she even went out of her way to tell me that. Like whenever kids throw fits or whatever when they're younger, I would always just look at mom and be like, Mom, what's wrong with them? And she'd be like, they're just misbehaving. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, I wish I got a little bit of that with my kids because they're definitely hell raisers.
That's how it works, though. It skips generations, you know. Their kids are going to be
Oh, yeah.
angels.
Oh, I hope so. I hope they get a little bit of it back.
So,
If not, I'm going to be that kid for them when I get older.
Oh, nice.
bad grandpa. That's what it is, right?
Yeah. I'm going to be like, I told you when you were younger, I was going to get you back.
So later on years, did you ever speak to your parents about, hey, did you guys ever have anything weird go on in the house?
I've actually asked Mom if she never noticed anything. She said she didn't really notice much, but she spent most of her time outside anyway, unless it was in the winter. And
Right.
then even then, when at that point she was working on the farm with my father, so most of the time they were always gone.
Right.
So it was, I mean, I think you work pretty close to 20 hours when you were farming.
Yeah.
It's mostly about 18 to 20, especially since it was just my family and that ran the farm. And then my uncle actually lived in the house next to us, and he was helping on the farm with my aunt as well. So it was kind of only like 4 adults that worked there regularly. Then we had 2 part-timers that would come in and milk at night. But other than that, it was just my parents and us, the kids.
Yeah, farming is a busy life, that's for sure. And then when you sleep, pardon the term here, especially with the subject matter, but you sleep like the dead because you need it. So I'm sure when they were asleep,
yeah.
they were asleep. So I can understand that.
My wife actually says she's jealous of that.
I am too.
My head can just touch a pillow and I'm out.
I am too. I am too. Especially the older we get, the less sleep our bodies tend to get. So any other events that you recall, Justin, that we haven't covered?
There's only one other one that really sticks out, which was my bedroom door for that last room I lived in was a solid oak door. And I was coming home one day and I walked up to the door, and that door itself had like knuckle marks on the outside of it, and it was split because it was a old fashioned door with like the rectangle 4 squares in each part. And the top left one was just split in half with like, and it looked like something had hit it. And yeah, well, last I checked, I can't break solid oak, especially not at 13 years old. I mean, that's a big boy, but not that big.
And you don't remember a sound that would have created that split. Nobody heard that, as far as you know.
Nothing at all.
Wow, that's
that was a solid door. Like that door actually took effort to move, let alone I wouldn't imagine what could have broke it.
Right.
And it was just that one panel. So it doesn't even make sense how it didn't split more.
Split all the way. Yeah, that is
one
weird.
Piece, but it was just that one rectangle piece was just cracked right down the middle of it.
Hopefully your parents didn't blame you for that one.
That one, they couldn't. I was way too young and not big enough.
So there you go. Okay. At least there's one in your corner, right, Justin? You're like, that was not me,
yeah,
dang
I was
it.
like, see, that wasn't me. You must have slammed it. Yeah, okay. Come on.
Yeah, that is pretty cool, though, especially the things actually moving. And then, I mean, the candle floating would be pretty incredible and scary to see, I would imagine. And
I'd love to see that.
So your sister or you don't feel like anything followed you from that farmhouse when you guys moved out?
Maybe a little bit, but that's only because I've had some weird stuff happen over the years now.
Oh,
and
yeah?
It's been spaced out, but like when I moved into this current residence here, which actually ended up being like 3 years or 4 years after I moved out of there, the room that I'm back into now actually had this like outline of what appeared to be like a child or a small person right next to my bed outside of my closet door. And you would never see it because I always had my closet door open, never closed it. And then one day rearranged my room, closed the door, and there was it looked just like an outline and shadow of a person on the wall. It was kind of really creepy. And it's actually, came back after my parents repainted the room too, because they've remodeled a few times since. And it actually ended up bleeding right back through the paint that they had put on. So they ended up changing the color of the room completely. And now it's got wood panel walls. So it doesn't even have any ability to have anything stick to that anymore. But it was definitely strange. Now that closet's gone too, and it's opened up into a hallway and stuff. But it's definitely the weirdest. And actually, not too long ago, this was actually just kind of a couple weeks ago, maybe a month or two, sitting on my porch, and my lap got stupid cold, and it felt like somebody had just took their two hands and put them on each one of my thighs. And definitely was strange. I kind of believe in spiritual stuff or the afterlife or ghosts, but I also have like my friend who died of an overdose not too long ago. I have a vial of his ashes that I keep with me, and I kind of felt like it might have been him. And I was like, if it is, dude, just you're making me cold, man. Like, could you just not? Then it went away, but I was like, oh, that was definitely freaking creepy. It felt like I was being watched, and felt like it just grabbed my lap. I'm like, oh, that's definitely weird.
What about anybody else in the house? Anything strange?
My wife sees a bunch of shit, like figures, or even like that day she was actually on the porch with me. She said she felt like she could see something right there if she wasn't looking directly at me, just out of like her peripheral. I was like, yo, that's fantastic. I was like, please tell me that I'm right some more. I don't really want to hear that right now.
I mean, it's nice to have the confirmation, but yeah. I mean, if
same
that's
time though, it's like, oh, god damn it, I was just hoping that was just a freaky feeling.
I mean, if that is your friend, you've already kind of said out loud, hey, kind of making me cold. Like, in other words, please stop. So maybe that'll be enough that he won't do, if that is him, that he won't do something like that again.
Oh, if it's him, he probably will, just to screw with me. But
could be. Definitely could be. Paul, did you want to add anything before we sign off here?
Yeah, so I went back to the old conversation that Justin and I did like back in 2017, and there is a note here that is the last note that wasn't touched on per se, but it's all right. But that's why I'm here to do this. So, Justin, speaking of moving around when we didn't want to be, during that conversation, because this must have happened multiple times, and I'm wondering if that was maybe it happened twice during that weekend of, staying over at your birthday weekend or something. But I remembered you being on the floor under the bed at one point, and Ethan was where I was, and I was at the window. When we were talking, you remembered a moment where you were actually in the closet. You weren't even under the futon. You were actually in the closet from where you were from the window. So I didn't know if you remembered that.
I remember waking up head first. Yeah. My upper half was in the closet. My lower half was outside. Yeah, that was same weekend. We actually had you, me, Ethan, and Michael there. Michael was there the first night too, but he ended up going home the next day.
That's right. I don't remember anything happening to Michael then.
Because Michael didn't stay in the same room with us. That's why. Michael stayed in my other room that I was going to move into. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Why did he do that? Did he have a funny feeling about your room?
He's just, there was 3 people in one bunk bed. So he's like, you got another bed, I'm going to hit that up. I'm like, yeah, don't blame me, man.
Yeah. So you ended up partially in the closet, in the scary closet, the closet that you were not in your waking world going to go into.
Yeah, I had no reason to really use it. I mean, I never had any reason to use a closet. All my clothes were in a bureau, and I didn't really keep anything in there ever.
Right. Except for dishes, when the ghost would put the dirty dishes and everything else inside the closet. Yeah.
And I actually do remember that it was not as full as when Mom found it, but there was a lot of stuff in there. I just didn't see any dishes. I was just like, okay, I'm closing that door and I'm back.
Yeah, deal with that later.
So
oh yeah,
I
that's
guess
one of those
yeah.
I'm shelving that type of deal. Like, I'm gonna put a pin in that.
Yeah.
Put a pin in it. The only other thing, Justin, I have for you is: do you recall that one night when we were watching a scary movie and your lock door swung open? Do you remember that one?
Oh, freak yeah. That was the second room. No, first room.
Yeah,
Yeah,
first
that
room.
was the first room. Yeah, that scared the shit out of every single one of us.
Yeah.
Excuse my language.
No, that's okay. Tell everybody about that.
Oh, I don't even remember the movie anymore, but it was like the original
Anaconda.
Scream or something like that. It was Anaconda.
Anaconda.
Anaconda, yeah. That was freaking it was okay, if that was Anaconda, that was toward the end scene when the freaking Anaconda popped out of the damn silo. Right when it freaking came out of that silo, that freaking door swung wide open. It actually put a hole in the wall. It scared
Did
the
it really?
crap out of us. Yeah, the lock thing punched through the freaking sheetrock.
Wow, I don't even remember that. I just remember it swinging open, and then you and I were like freaked out, and then we kind of afterwards settling down, we were like, how to, and then we started to put on our detective hats on to figure out how that happened.
Yeah, like why the door opened because I had it latched. Like it wasn't
Yeah.
even a dead or a handle; it was a flip latch. So we were like, oh, maybe we could wiggle it, or maybe if somebody pulls the door on another room, maybe it could freaking swing it up or something.
And then
No.
we were also thinking your window, that the only window.
Yeah,
that
the one
was
that
in
led
your
out to the
hallway.
roof. Yeah.
Yeah, was that the roof? Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was the
Or
one
no,
that
no, no,
actually
no,
had the
not
wraparound roof part.
no, not the one in your bedroom, the one in the hallway.
Oh, that window, and one at the end of the hall.
Yes.
Yeah. For craft or cross breeze. Yeah, we could actually try to recreate that in any way we could.
Yeah.
Don't understand how it happened still to this day.
See, and now that you
Because there's
mentioned,
no way those latches actually move.
yeah. Well, and I remember now asking Paul, or maybe he offered it without me asking, but you and your reaction said it all when he said what he did about it hitting the sheetrock and going through, because you said you recalled it not opening with much force. It opened enough to be noticeable, but actually it did open with quite a bit of force. So, interesting.
That sucker swung right open.
Yeah, I started to say that it swung right open, and then I was like, no, maybe not. So, yeah.
No, the slowly opening one was on the second room.
That was the second room.
Yeah, that was the second room. That was one of the only things. That was one of the handful of things that ever happened in that room. But that was the room that I was in the shortest. I was only in there for not even a year. I actually got sick of that room pretty quick.
How dare this entity interrupt one of the best movies ever made? Really.
Oh, it's sacred.
Heck yeah, it is. Making another one too, so go figure. But this time it's a little bit more obviously funny, I think. Anaconda wasn't trying to be a comedy, but oh my God, it was. Well, I appreciate you guys coming on, and Justin, it's really good to virtually meet you. And Paul, would you make sure to, plug Haunted Vermont podcast and the website? Let everybody know where to find you.
Yeah, so all my links can be found at hauntedvermont.org or .org. You can kind of find the Haunted Vermont podcast everywhere, as far as I know. Just type in Haunted Vermont and we should come up. Depending on what platform you are, we are okay at ratings. Otherwise, if you like what I'm trying to do, then feel free to share and comment and whatever else you got to do in some of these platforms. So
yeah, people don't realize that if
Subscribe.
you do enjoy a show, that whatever platform you're listening to said show on, it helps the show more than you realize to rate and review. I don't ask enough. I'm not very good at self-promotion, but that sort of a thing helps shows very much. So just take a couple of minutes and do that for a show, and it helps us out. We do appreciate that. But thank you guys very much.